happens. It just kind of goes. It just like
it says it's live, so we're good.
All right.
All right, everybody, settle down in the chat room. And I know we got like 3 people. I can't even tell how many people are viewing, but online today for your entertainment and enjoyment is none other than Mr. Joel Telling himself, 3D printing nerd. And we're here to ask him some good questions.
There we go.
Y'all in chat, be nice. Be nice. You know you are. And
I'm sure they're just fine.
Yeah, we got a couple of Twitter questions that I'm going to ask. I got some that I wrote down. And then, Joel, if you don't mind, we'll open it up to chat after that's over.
Sure, absolutely.
The main reason, as we were discussing before for this chat, is to let people get to know the side of you they don't see at an event or at on a video, because there's so much more to Joel Telling than just his videos and the person at these events. So,
it's true. It's true.
So, okay, without further ado, because I know your time is precious. I don't know how
we'll have precious time, Walter. Everything's precious.
I don't know how you do it. Well, I'm going to say that right off the bat. I don't know how you do it, because I have this little live show in the morning, and then I do some mail thing stuff, and I try to watch other people's videos, and then I'm out of time. I don't know how you do it. You do way more than I could possibly.
I don't know about that. Well, watching, honestly, when you're creating content, one of the hardest things that you can do is watch other content, because as a content creator, you're usually a one-man show, and you're just doing everything yourself. So you are filming, usually editing, producing, publishing, tagging, being social, setting up prints, printing stuff, getting everything working. So just for you to sit down and not only watch other content to try and keep up on the landscape, but just to enjoy it, it's the hardest thing in the world.
Yeah, and that's what I've found. And one of the big mantras that I give off on my morning show is to support each other. These guys are out there and they're creating content. They may not have mass amounts. They're just getting started into 3D printing. Go support each other. And it's hard, because a lot of times you get on your channel, somebody will say, "Hey, did you see such and such video?" And you're like, "No, I didn't get to it yet because I really ain't had time."
Yeah.
But yet I'm telling them all to support each other, and I'm trying to my best. Believe me, I try to hit as many as I can. But okay, so let's get started with the questions I have.
Okay.
All right, you started in 3D printing pretty much the same reason all of us did, for the sheer, oh my God, I can do that factor.
Yeah.
Now, did you see at the beginning, did you see yourself becoming as engrossed, not YouTube side, but as engrossed in 3D printing as you have become? Say YouTube aside.
YouTube aside, no. When I started in 3D printing, my main goal was, wow, look at the stuff I can make. Holy cow, I can have an Etsy store, and I could actually make a little bit of money on the side making things and printing things that people would want to buy. So YouTube aside, I just thought I would have a few printers as tools to make stuff that could then that could make my family and I a little bit of extra money. That was the goal.
Well, and I mean, that's a loftier goal than I had. I mean, I'm growing up watching Star Trek, and here are these machines where I can push a button and go, 25 hours later, I have my object.
Yeah. It's amazing future technology, right?
It is. We're not going to feed the masses with it, but we can alleviate some of our inner child, I guess.
Sure.
All right. So as far as YouTube, and I don't know how to compare this, but as far as I know, strictly 3D printing speaking, you're the largest that there is. You are, I believe, just strictly 3D printing.
Well, I think saying strictly 3D printing can be a little bit deceiving, maybe. Yeah. Because I don't think I'm strictly, like, I've got my laser cutter and I have a CNC machine, and the idea has always been to decrease the number of reviews and to increase the number of projects and project-based content. So I don't know if going forward, it's actually valid to call a lot of people strictly 3D printing. I hope that makes sense. And I'm not trying to say what you're saying is wrong. It's just it's really hard to name. It's like calling Jimmy DiResta the largest metalworking channel, or, you know, Alex Steele the largest blacksmithing. It's like, well, I mean, yes, that is a large part of what they do, but there's still more than that. And I think it's tough. So I understand what you're saying, but I don't know how correct it is.
Let me rephrase this. You are the most popular of the 3D printing or YouTube channels that cover 3D printing. I will say that. That could be
fair. I think I'm one of the most visible in the community itself.
Yeah.
I think that
go ahead.
Well, like Tom is close. Tom Sandlatterer, Angus over at Maker's Muse, obviously. He and Simon over at RC Life On have more subscribers than I do, and more views than my channel does. You look at James at X Robots, and he does some crazy projects that includes 3D printing. I know Bob, and I Like to Make Stuff, has a few printers and does some really cool projects that involve 3D printing. But I think I have a bit, of the niche that I have. I think I'm one of the more visible within the community.
Yeah, and I think that's a testament to who you are as a person, though, because you look at, and I learned this at Murph because I had no idea. You know, that was my second event. I went to a little makers fair here in Gainesville where I met Glenn and show him from a skewed view and a couple.
Is that where you met those guys?
Yeah, that's the way I met them. And then who else was it? Ron, the Happy Extruder, he was there, and Brew It, Print It, Blast It, Build It.
Mm-hmm.
Ron was there. They were all there, and that's where I met them. I mean, I talked to them online and said I was coming and that type of stuff. But yeah, that's where I met those guys. And I'd never been anywhere other than that. That was my first ever foray into making like a making event or any of that. You know,
okay.
Where I live at in the Panhandle of Florida is kind of rural, very rural. Okay.
Yeah, very. I bet rural is a good description.
It's kind of swampy if you really want to know. But there's not a big community of that. Now everybody around here makes stuff. Okay, they build boats, they do all kind of stuff,
yeah.
But they don't have events to show off what they did. They go fishing in their boats. You know,
sure.
That type of stuff. Okay. So but my question about being as open and available as you are, because, you know, you are, if you put the big three together, and I would say Joel, Tom, and Angus, which Ricky Tanner did on the screen here.
Yeah.
Y'all are the big three. You're the most available of the three to the community.
Okay.
You respond faster. How do you manage the requests that are made, that have to be made of the time that you have? How do you handle that just in sheer volume of requests?
It's getting more difficult as time goes on, because as my popularity and presence within the community grows, then more people do reach out. I make time by doing it, and I stay up later than I should. I'm on my phone probably more often than I should be. I devote a lot of electricity to playing my part in the community, and I think I do it because it's kind of like my space. I think, like you said, if it's Tom and it's Angus and myself as the quote unquote big three. Tom is a German engineer. Tom approaches his videos from a very engineering standpoint. Everything's very technical, and they are superb in how perfect technically they are. And Angus, as a younger person, industrial designer, making battling robots, his take on things, while as valid as Tom's, is completely different, and you get another side of the story. And I think what Angus offers supplements the content that Tom provides. And I think what Tom offers supplements the content that Angus provides. And so where I sit, I'm just some nerdy dude. I'm a dad and I'm a husband, and I just love this stuff. Like, I love this stuff. I've been a nerd all my life. So where I sit among the big three is to try and take what I learn from what Angus does, and learn from what Tom does, and learn from what I'm able to view in the community, and then lift it up and try to talk about it and expose it and make people aware of it from a point of view such as mine. Because Tom's going to give a point of view from his place, and Angus will give a point of view from his place. And I think my place and my point of view comes from a different area than where theirs does. And so it joins the consensus, and people can make more informed decisions and hopefully learn better.
Yeah, no, and I get that. I actually brought that up the other day about Tom, what you were saying, because I was watching him at Murph, and his attention to detail with his video is exquisite.
Oh, it's so good.
I was watching him film the multi-headed, what was that, E3D had down there, the multi-headed. And I mean, he's getting in there, and he's got the gimbal, and I mean, he's just going really slow, just beautiful. And it's going to be a beautiful shot.
Yes.
But what I was getting at is a lot of the people that I met there, and Glenn even will tell you included, are introverted. Okay.
Yep.
Where do you fit in that spectrum? Are you, because I'm not. I mean, I guess you found that out when you interviewed me. I am absolutely the other way.
I am. I'm not an introvert, and I think a personality such as yours or such as mine, I think that that's incredibly valuable in this space, because the space, there's a lot of people who may not be the most socially aware, or there may be people that are more comfortable at a computer doing code or assembling machines than they are around other humans. And so when you see someone such as you, Walter, or someone such as me, and you see how much fun we're having, and then when you meet us in person, and we're high-fiving and hugging and shaking hands, and just the excitement and the passion that we showcase on video is right there in person. And that, wow, that person I see online, that's the real them. They're not putting on a show. This is how they are in real life. And I think there's value there. And I think the people that may not be as socially aware or as extroverted as you and I think that's helpful, and maybe you and I are responsible for helping some people break out of their shells. I think that's just awesome to think about.
Well, and that's one thing I try to do when I'm on my morning show, and I think that's why a lot of the guys that are here watch my morning shows, because when you meet me in person, what you see in the mornings when I'm having coffee or when I'm live online, that's who I am. I don't have another personality. And it's really comforting to meet somebody like you that's the same way, I mean, because when I met you at Murph, I had watched most of your videos because, they come up in all the dang searches when you search.
Yes, they do.
So I had watched most of those, and I was looking forward to meeting you.
Thank you.
Not as a celebrity YouTuber, but because you seemed more genuine than some of the other videos I'd watched. And that's why I like the live stuff, to do the live stuff. Like yesterday, I told you about my 15-hour live stream.
That's right.
Most of the people that are in this chat room now were there. And they watched the progression of me from 8 o'clock in the morning yesterday till, I think we cut it off finally about 11:30 last night. And I was in this chair for 15 hours messing with a TiVo little monster.
They watched the oncoming Walter storm.
And that's what it was. That's what it was. But okay. All right. So let me move on with my question, because I know we got to move the time.
Do it.
Your rise on YouTube was pretty quick. Okay. I put meteoric in the in the question. That was my word, meteoric. Because I watched, man. I watched. I looked just 7 months ago. You were sitting in your basement at a table, or if it's your basement, it looks like, you know, with all the stuff behind you and messy and all. And now you're. I mean, it has been. It's been meteoric. Okay, what is your? I don't want to say regret. Regret's not the word, but what's the biggest downside to that rise in popularity that you have now? What's the biggest downside to you, Joel Telly?
Oh, well, that's a pretty simple one to speak to. My rise in popularity was very sudden, and it was on an incredible trajectory. And I think that was because I was offering something that was absent, right? I think either the way I presented information, or the information I presented, or maybe my voice or my hair or just something, right? There was a gap that I was filling. And so I think that's why my rise was meteoric, as you say. But I think that growing that fast presents its own problem, because I'm still having to catch up on machines and filaments and projects that I want to do. Still, I've grown out of like 3 different spaces in the house, and I'm still running out of space because there's just so much stuff that is accumulated from this queue that I need to get through. So it's not really a regret. It's something that it comes with the territory. It's its own problem. And so you then have to think of your own unique solution to try and solve it. So my unique solution was no more printer reviews.
Okay, well, and I get that, because, you know, and what you said was absolutely correct. I think that when you look at Tom covered the engineering basics. I mean, he dug into the engineering of the technology and that type of thing. And not that you didn't touch on it, but he dug into it. Angus also did the Fusion 360, you know, the creation side of things, as well as some printer reviews. But they were both more, I'm going to say, I don't really want to say academic, but they're more academic than what you were presenting when you first got on. Okay, because you were the everyman with a 3D printer. You know what I mean?
I think I just printed stuff, right? I mean, I made that GoPro rig, which is around here somewhere, but I just printed stuff and I showed it off. I don't know why that took with some people, but it did. Well,
like you said, though, your hair, your voice, and like I said, you were in a basement. You weren't standing behind the counter, you know, or that type of thing. You know, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. It was definitely a slice of my life. Like I set up a camera, and what you saw on camera was it wasn't a set. It was exactly what it looked like for me to use every day.
Well, that's like me. I'm sitting here in a 1980 mobile home in the back bedroom that my daughter's vacated, that's now full of crap from making stuff.
That's great, though.
Oh, it is. And, you know, if you see the little green blob over here I have on the ground, I had a green screen up the other day, and everybody thought it was cool because, you know, I had green screen behind me, and I'm in a woo. It was on what was that? May the 4th. We had May the 4th be with you, and I had the Starfield and all that stuff.
Good. All right. Okay.
Okay. Let's see. Have you ever? Now this is, and I want a truthful answer because I asked something similar to Glenn, not the same thing because it was Glenn and Xander I was asking.
Okay.
But have you ever just woken up one morning and said, why did I get into the YouTube thing? Why did I put myself in this limelight or whatever? Have you ever second guessed that decision to continue the YouTube thing?
No, it's never a second guessing. It's always I just wake up and be like, oh, screw this. I don't want to make a video today. I don't want to use a printer today. What am I doing? I want to go outside. Wait, I don't want to answer emails. I don't want to go on Twitter. I don't want to. it's any of that, right? It's never second guessing. You're just you're breaking down a problem at hand, and you're just letting some true feelings fly before you're like, nah, man, I got this. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go respond to tweets. I'm gonna drink a Mountain Dew, and I'm gonna design something. Or look at that, I'm gonna go start this printer going. Or it's that little dip before you motivate yourself and you get going for the day. I've never once regretted going this path. I've enjoyed it. I'm incredibly blessed to be able to do this and to be able to support my family by doing this. But that doesn't mean I don't wake up some mornings and just, flip off the camera because I'm like, I don't want to see you again. I'm tired. And then, I'll get a coffee and I'll get a McMuffin or whatever in me. And then I'm like, all right. You know what? Let's start a printer. Let's start printing something. And then I start one printer and I'm like, oh, wait, this gives me an idea. I'm going to start another one. Hey, look I got two things going. All right, I'm going to start this one. Oh, I'm going to film. And so it just works itself out.
Yeah, I get that too, because, I do the morning show and some mornings I get up, and I'm bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Some mornings I walk in here and I'm like, oh God, I got to turn the lights on. and once the lights come on, I'm awake and all that stuff and it's all good. But yeah, I get it. And that was basically my question. Did you ever just throw your hands in there and go, okay, I'm done for the day. I don't want any more. Let's go have a picnic, with your family or whatever, I know.
Usually when I throw my hands in the air, it's because it's 2 o'clock in the morning and I'm really tired. And I'm like, I will approach this with tomorrow brain. And when I didn't have my editor, Sean, I was starting filming after everybody went to sleep, and then I was editing that night, and then I was publishing it for 6 a.m. the next morning. Ooh. And it's just what I did. But there are times when I would be trying to edit something and it just wouldn't look right, and I'd be like, oh, just forget this. And I go to bed and I wake up early the next morning and I get it done in 5 minutes. I'm like, oh, this makes all the sense now. So throwing your hands up just means you need to take a break and take a walk or something.
Well, and I have a case in point. When I put the Orbello Mark 42 on that printed printer back there, we worked on it for like 8 hours. Could never get it to print right. It would never calibrate. It wouldn't do anything. So it was way late. And I'm like, okay, guys, I'm done. We're done for the night. Come back tomorrow. We'll finish it. I walked out the door and I go, you know what? I think I know how to fix it. So I turned around and come back in, started right back live streaming again. And it wasn't, 10 minutes we had it running. And it was good.
That's great though. That's great. See, little break worked.
Yeah. All right. So you were a developer, I think, before the YouTube thing. Is that
sure? We'll call it. Well, I dabbled.
I mean, you had a lead up to Adobe. You didn't just always work at Adobe. So
no. I've been in software QA, and I just worked my way up from just regular QA to QA developer, which means essentially I was. Well, like at Adobe, I developed and maintained the scripts which tested performance automation between CPU rendering and GPU rendering. So we had to track time of each frame for rendering, and we had to track how many frames it could get through before a memory buffer would fill up. What my scripts would do would be to either generate test projects or grab a directory full of test projects and then run the tests and then make a report.
Okay.
Before Adobe, I had a startup company called Grazie Mobile. I was the lead developer. It was an app that lets you send drinks and desserts to friends when they are out. It was so cool, Walter. Imagine a friend is having a birthday party and you can't make it because you have other plans, and you're like, oh man, I'm so sorry. Hey, you know what? I'm gonna buy you a drink. And so you call the bar or the club or the restaurant, and you try to talk to a waiter or waitress who tries to take your credit card number over the phone, and you hope that they find your friend and they hope that they get the drink. So what we did in the app was if your friend checked in through this application, and then it would post to our feed, to Facebook, to Twitter, if a friend saw that on Facebook or Twitter, they could tap or click it, and a menu for the restaurant or club or wherever they're at would come up. And then I could say, oh, you know what? Pick. And I just picked a drink, and then I would pay for it using PayPal or whatever online payment we had set up. And then they would get a notice on their phone with a little coupon code, and they'd call over the waiter and be like, hey, look, someone sent me this drink. The waiter would take down the coupon and go put it in the system, and out would pop the drink, and then they bring the drink to the friend. It was awesome, but it was a couple years. It was, oh geez, that was like 5 years ago. So we just couldn't get any investors. But I was the developer. I wrote the iPhone and Android applications.
Yeah, well, and a friend of mine and I wrote a similar Android application, not quite the same, but the problem with apps like that we found is you have to get buy-in from the community as well. You know,
sure.
The restaurants and stuff have to buy in, and if you can't show a value in it, then, you know, it's kind of hard to get that buy-in. You know,
we had well, what we did is we wrote it to have restaurants white label it, and so we had a restaurant chain named Bar Louie. Do you have any Bar Louies down there in Florida?
No.
Yeah, I don't have any in the West either. They're all in the Midwest. They white labeled their application, and it was the official app for their restaurant chain among their 88 stores that we supported. But they didn't know how to promote something like that, and so it never got traction, and it just didn't get adoption.
It's kind of like the Dreamcast. When the Dreamcast came out, it was so far ahead of its time.
So
and it was
good.
it was so expensive that people were like, I'm not buying that for my kids. But now they buy Xbox One X.
I know. Now you see some 12-year-old with an iPhone X, and you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah. Yeah, but the Dreamcast was the bomb when it came out, man. It was so awesome.
It was good. I agree.
All right. So, okay. So did you go to college for development, or is this just something you picked up? Because I'm a self-taught developer. I've been developing for, I don't know, 22 years or so.
Dang, man. No, I didn't go to college.
Yeah, I didn't either. I did, but not for long.
Oh, well, I took something called Running Start. So rather than senior year and junior year in high school, I was able to go take college classes, which satisfied high school requirements, but then gave me college credit.
Yeah, my daughter did something similar. She graduated from high school after she actually had her A.A. from college. You know?
Isn't that crazy?
It is, and now she's at UF going, she's got big dreams. So
good, dude.
Yeah, no, it's great. It really is. It really is. Okay. So let's see. I had some more questions. Okay. And we talked a little bit about this, and I saw your video. I watched it last night after my stream, and Chris Riley's in the chat right now.
Yeah,
I watched his video on the hungry robot thing that he did. That was cool. And then I watched yours on the Fell.
Yeah.
You know what really struck me about that, Joel, about that video? And it came across on the video, and I want you to know, you could feel the sadness that you had for that not working.
Oh, Walter, Sean had to edit out so much doom and gloom where I'm just like hanging my head low, and I'm like, oh, I just want this to work. Why can't you work? I tried, dude. I tried so hard.
You could tell you tried so hard to get that to work. You wanted to give it a glowing review, and you could just see that hope melting away out of Joel.
Oh, man. And then, well, I went back the second day because I knew I needed to try everything twice at least, or else, I was going to get torn apart in the comments. And so I just wanted to make sure I tried everything that anybody could think of before I published that video.
All right. So, but leading into the question was, what type of, and you said CNC, and you said laser earlier, but what type of projects would you like to incorporate in your YouTube channel that you don't currently?
It's definitely going to try and involve more materials. So whether that's more 3D printing materials, or whether that's more in the way of stuff that can be CNC'd or laser cut. I want to, I think I've grown showing off how cool 3D printing is. And I think it's time to continue to show how cool it is as a tool, even a prominent tool in a project. That's the goal.
Well, and I mean that's a lofty goal because there's so many different types of technology and so many different types of materials that you could incorporate into projects with 3D printing, you know, and Arduino or some other electronics that just makes so much cool crap. There's so much stuff out there. And I messaged Ivan Miranda the other day.
I love that guy. Oh, dude, I love that guy.
The stuff he makes, man, I watch it and I go, how do you do this in a week? What do you not do anything else at all?
I'm wondering because I don't know what that guy does, but I want to work with him. Well, I want to do something with that guy.
Yeah, if you go back to some of his videos, he works in an R&D shop for somebody. I don't think he said the company, but he's in research and development is what he does.
Oh, so he's smart. He's smart. Yeah, he's smart. He's smarter than I am.
Another one I watch is Bit Looney's Lab. I mean, he does stuff all over the place. I don't know if you've ever seen him.
I haven't.
He does all kind of projects and stuff like that. And it's crazy.
It sounds crazy.
But all right, so you are now, and you weren't before, the 3D printing nerd. Okay, you are Joel Telling, the man behind the 3D printing nerd.
Sure.
So tell us something about Joel, not 3D printing nerd, about Joel. You know, I know you have a wife and children and you have a family outside of this, but something about you that interests you outside of making and 3D printing and that type of thing. You know, what is rounds out Joel?
What rounds out Joel? That's a really good question because I don't know, because I've always enjoyed just making stuff, and what is that? Oh, I'm getting a call, and I'm going to refuse that call because I'm on with you. I've always enjoyed making stuff, and before YouTube, I mean, I made stuff. I mean, as a kid, I remember I used to build these intricate cardboard G.I. Joe forts. And they'd have trap doors controlled by strings, and I'd build them around me, and then I could sit in the center and pull this or do this, and it would do stuff. I mean, I know I can build a house. I know how to do plumbing and electricity and framing and finish work and trim. It's weird, right? Because I'm so focused within the 3D printing realm that I mean, I'm a giant nerd, but I don't really show off the other side of my giant nerdiness other than 3D printing, because the channel is fairly pigeonholed into 3D printing because the channel name is 3D Printing Nerd. It makes sense. So I don't know what else I could tell you. I mean, what do I do? I eat ice cream. I'll try to watch TV when I get the chance. My kids are in Little League, so I go watch Little League games. I am not that exciting. So
and it wasn't about the excitement, Joel. You gave You gave me some of that with the building the houses and stuff like that, right? Okay, because I use that analogy all the time. I built houses right after I got out of the Army. What I did. And then I worked as an electrician in a boiler plant. And then I wired chicken plants. You know, I was an electrician for chicken plants. And I use the analogy all the time when programming. People go, what is your enjoyment of programming? I say, well, it's kind of like building a house. When you're done, you step back and you go, I did that. That's my baby. You know? That's what I like about it. It's what I like about 3D printing. I wish that I was better at the designing part of it than just the printing part, but I'm not that artistic. All right. So, I mean, that's really the end of my questions, but I've got a couple from Twitter. Okay. And Brian Vine said I have to say, well, he didn't say I had to say. He thought I was going to say the man, the myth, the legend. So I had to do that.
Okay.
But I got two questions on Twitter because I gave them a hashtag to use and I only got two. So JT from Australia. Now he's probably not watching.
Oh, JT, I love JT.
Yeah, he's not watching this, but he told me, he said, "Here's a question for Joel. What are your thoughts on the Master Spool initiative?"
I think it's interesting because I think there's a side of people in the industry that are focused on recycling and reuse and its impact on the environment, which I think is valid. But until you can get a product that embraces the master spool at a significant discount from another product, it's never going to be adopted. I wish we could come to that, and with automation, the future could be something like that. But it's got a good heart behind it. I just unless you can get the price way down, I don't think it's going to be adopted by as many people that need to adopt it in order for it to succeed as much as people want it to succeed. Because it's the refills are are a little bit more expensive than like a Matter Hackers build or a hatch box on Amazon. But you see a lot of really good prints with really cheap $9 filament, right? And how can you sell a refill for $22 US, let's say, and say it's better than for the environment, and you need to pay twice as much as this other filament that other people have shown that prints really well? Until a product that's better for the environment can compete at a lower price range, I think adoption will be minimal.
No, and I have to totally agree with you, because like I have some eSun spools that are of the eSun PETG.
Yeah.
That's two screws. You take those apart. You can put other rolls of filament on if you want to. So I don't have to print one to begin with. But I agree with that, because like my go-to filament is 3D Solutech. It's cheap on Amazon. It's a decent filament.
Aren't they based here in Seattle?
What's that?
Is 3D Solutech in Seattle? Is that what I'm thinking?
I'm not sure. You'd have to look. I know they're made in the USA. I don't think it says on the box. And believe me, I have a box. Just says 100% of the materials used in our product are grown and made in the USA. It doesn't say where they're at.
Okay.
But it's my go-to. I mean, $17, $18 a roll on Amazon.
Yeah. They're located here in Seattle.
Cool.
They don't follow me, and they've never reached out.
Dude, I have reached out to them several times. They've never commented back. I've tagged them on Twitter in beautiful prints, and they never like the tweets. They never do anything. It's like
their Twitter profile says 3D printing materials provider. It doesn't say manufacturer. Our materials are purely grown and made in the U.S. Okay, we are proud to see the and are glad that it truly 100. Okay, I would love to talk to them.
Yeah, and I would too. I've tried and haven't gotten any response whatsoever.
Really?
Yeah. Okay. I've got one more question off of Twitter, and then I've got one that James asking. Let me ask it before it leaves. Hold on. Let me scroll up here before it gets off my thing very far. All right. If I have room, he said if I had room for one more question, I got a little bit of room.
Okay.
All right. Joel, what project are you looking forward to the most, and why? Why is it the project we discussed at Murph? And that's James from he's Print and Play.
I know James. Yeah, he's a good dude. He slaps a wine bag like no other.
I heard about that. I stayed at my table a lot at Murph and didn't get to really talk.
I was for the best.
So I missed that.
That was fun. I got to see it. I was there with Tom Sandlatterer, and we were behind my table, and I was just watching the carnage from my table. I'm like, wow, that's I'm glad you guys are having that wasn't for me, but that sure looked like a lot of fun.
Yeah, but his question was, let me go back. We got off the question. What project are you looking forward to the most?
Probably the I've got a design for my upcoming Seattle Children's Hospital donation box. I have the idea in my head because I'm going to use my 3D printers, I'm going to use my laser cutter, and I'm going to use my Carvey CNC machine.
Wow.
I'm going to use all of them, and I have an idea, and I've got a mock-up in my head. I just need to bring it into Fusion, and then I can start to make it go, I guess. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if I can make it work, but
Chris from Practical Printing said he was just a recruiter for the wine bag challenge. Didn't have to drink the slop. Okay, I've got one more Twitter question, and then I'm going to go back to the screen up here. Any interesting behind the scenes stories happen that we never saw? So like during the time that you're filming a thing, you know, you trip over a box or anything like anecdotal or something that never made it onto your channel, but that you remember vividly.
That's a really good question. Let's see. I was filming a robo unboxing, and the machine wasn't working, and I spent 10 minutes trying to get it to work, and I was like, I can't believe I got a dead, this is terrible. All right. And then I thought for a sec, and I looked, and my power strip was shut off, so I turned it back on, and the machine, well, it turned on, at least. Only thing I can remember is stupid stuff like that. I've got no really big behind the scenes. Let's see. Oh, when I did that video with Kato, the steampunk model down in California, I didn't get to show it off as much, but her house is gorgeous, just gorgeous. And each room is set up to be a different scene for a photography studio. It's cool. I didn't get to show it off as much, but that was cool. Let's see, behind the scenes. Man, I don't know. I don't script anything, and everything's kind of off the cuff. And usually I do everything in one take.
Oh, well, that's cool because that's the way I am too.
Yeah. So usually there's not really anything to show off. And if there is, Sean usually edits it right into the video.
All right. So somebody brought up the Seattle Children's Hospital. Okay. And I talked to him about this the other morning because that's near and dear to me, not really the Seattle side of it, but I'm that way about the Ronald McDonald House.
Okay.
Because
great.
When
Fantastic.
when my second daughter was born, she had gastroschisis, which is where your intestines are outside of your body.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to have her to the children's hospital. Well, me and my wife were dirt poor, you know, making $100 a week, $150 a week at that time. This 20 something years ago. And so we had to have somewhere to stay in Atlanta, you know, which was 5-6 hours away from us. So they put us up there for like 3 weeks, you know. And I mean, we donated like $20 because it's all I had, you know. But for 3 weeks, they gave us a place to stay. Well, then when our third child was born, she was born with an infection in her eye, but nobody knew about it. So the day before Thanksgiving, we had to rush her to Shands in Gainesville. So, and we stayed at the Ronald McDonald House there over Thanksgiving, and they fed us Thanksgiving dinner. Well, then,
wow, that's awesome.
Then 20 years later, my granddaughter was born, and she had some fluid underneath the skin of her scalp or whatever. I mean, it was, and my daughter and him needed to be close, so they stayed in the Ronald McDonald House in Tallahassee. So the Ronald McDonald House has done my family a solid. So what is your tie, or do you have one, to the Seattle Children's Hospital, or is it just a charity that you want to do?
We've taken the kids to Seattle Children's once or twice, just because of late night, you know, emergencies, such as the kids are wrestling and we hear a snap, or just someone's, you know, not feeling well. We've never had to take advantage of. We've been very blessed in that we can afford the bill, and we've had insurance. But you can't ever discount charity for a kid, because it doesn't matter what your religion is, what your political affiliation is, right? Kids are kids. And if you can ever ease the mind of a child or the parent or guardian taking care of that child when that child's in need, then I think you're doing fantastic work. And so Seattle Children's Hospital is right here, and I know people that work there. So that's my chosen place.
No, dude, I completely respect that though, because it's a fantastic thing. And with your reach and the audience that you have, it's a fantastic platform for what you do with it. You know, and I applaud you for that effort. Really.
Thank you. Well, it all started out, I was going to be doing it with my Fan Mail Friday money, the money that people send in for stickers and whatnot. I never really lauded it as that. I just said, hey, look, send me $1 for a sticker. People, I think, figured it would cover shipping and handling or something like that. And then people are like, what are you doing with all this money? And one time I'm just like, it's all going to go to Seattle Children's Hospital. And then people started sending more money. There's a radio station in town. It's a Clear Channel affiliate, Kiss FM Seattle. And my buddy does the morning show. And they do every year a radiothon for Seattle Children's Hospital, where they try to get $1 million in donations in a day. And so that's why I give all the money I get during that day, because sometimes corporations are doing matches during that time. And so if I give $1,000 in this donated money, then sometimes a corporation will match that $1,000, and it'll be a $2,000 donation.
Dude, that's just awesome. All right, so now I'm going to pop up here and ask a question. John from You Do It on Twitter and YouTube.
Oh, yeah. John's good people, man.
Yeah, he is. John's a great guy. He's got 2 questions for Joel. What's the best convention/show you've ever went to? And what was the best show where you had the most influence on other creators?
Okay. Murph is probably the best show that I've gone to, hands down. The Bay Area Maker Faire, the New York Maker Faire, those are the other 2 that I've gone to. And they're awesome in their own right, but it's tough to see it all, do it all. Murph is probably my favorite. Murph is just a lot of fun. And Murph is probably where I've had the most influence, which would make sense, because Maker Faire is 3D. It has some 3D printing, but it's a lot of metalwork, woodwork. The YouTube creators that are there are usually based in the maker community. But Murph is very 3D printing centric. And so with what I've been doing on YouTube, it makes sense where I would probably have the most fun there, and then probably have the most influence there as well. Though Matter Hackers does throw some really good after parties at Maker Fairs. So I've had fun there too.
All right. So, okay, here's the next question. Hack Monkey. Scott. He had a nice little maker coin. I don't know if you got one, but it had the monkey on it. And anyway.
I may have.
What has been your biggest product failure?
My biggest product failure?
Yeah, like something somebody sent you to test, or you've gotten by means of somebody brought it to you and said, okay, here, use this and put it on your channel, and it's just the biggest failure that you've had. And don't please, yeah, I have an idea.
Let's see. So what have I got? The Robo R2 has been a very difficult machine, and the first one failed to print a number of materials. The second one, which I haven't released the video, I'm waiting for the third one. The second one had an issue. The Kodama Obsidian has been interesting because it's, I mean, it was a pre-release machine that I talked about, but then for some reason, Michael from Kodama, he stopped following me on Twitter. He broke all communications, and I haven't heard from the guy since. So featuring the Obsidian on my channel just felt weird. The toy box. Do I have? Oh yeah, this thing. This thing. It just doesn't. It doesn't work anymore. I power it on, and it just puts up a screen, and that's all she wrote.
All right. So you know Martin from Iceland, I guess. Martin,
yeah.
3DP Iceland. It's this question for Joe. Who was the best spool racer at driver at Murph?
I think while Jerry tried, I think Chuck, in his experience with stock car racing, really came in, and I think Chuck was the one that displayed the most talent with a spool racer.
Yeah, no, I get that. I get that. Okay, there you go. There you go. Noah and Joshua, a couple of younger 3D printers from, I think they're down around Miami, somewhere down south somewhere in Florida. What are your favorite budget 3D printers? $500 or less.
$500 or less.
What's your favorites?
That's actually a really good question. I don't play with many sub $500 3D printers. Do I have any? I had good luck with the CR10. What else do I have that's sub 500? I'm looking around. See, the problem is, because I'm not as technical as others, I think what a lot of people do is ask me to review machines that are pre-assembled and usually a little bit more expensive, because I'm giving sort of an everyman look at it rather than a detailed technical breakdown. So I don't get offered a lot of budget machines to review. I did buy I bought an Eris way back in the day. But then I gave it away. It was one of the first 10. I ended up giving it away. I have, yeah, I'm out, dude. I've got no current experience with sub $500 machines.
Okay, I mean, that's fair. I understand that. I mean, not only are they trying to, they're giving it to you because they want the advertisement. Because if you put it together and it works on your channel, then 200,000 people see it, and they've got 200,000 eyes that are interested in 3D printing on their machine.
Yep.
So, yeah, I get that. I do. Okay, so let's go on down.
Sure, let's hit them. Come on, man. We gotta get these comments going.
I'm trying to get as many as I can. What's the optimal size / value ratio for makers fairs? Murph was relatively small, right? But that's kind of a loaded question because Murph wasn't a makers fair. Murph is a rep festival, so it's a different beast.
Sure. I have no idea how to answer that question. That's a good question. I don't know. Where is that question in the chat? I want to read it. I want to grok it. I'm looking at the chat. Where is it? Your mic is muted.
I'm sorry. I don't want to take the screen away from you. If you go up above where 3DP Iceland said LOL, awesome, and he's got the 2 smiley faces.
I do see that.
It's like 4 above that, 4 or 5 above that.
4 above that. Okay, let's see. What's
the
optimal size value ratio for maker fairs? Murph was relatively small. Okay, so Murph was relatively small in, I suppose, in size if you compare it to other really large maker fairs, but it was very hyper focused on 3D printing. So while it was small, it was dense. It was really, really dense. So I don't know if Murph's kind of an outlier, so you can't really use that to compare, but I don't know. I don't know the question, or I don't know the answer to that question really well, because Murph is cool. And if you can get something like Murph going for that size, and it was free, so it was a great value proposition. But Bay Area and New York Maker Faire, they're obviously larger. They're inclusive of more technologies, but they charge money to get in, and you have to pay a lot of money if you're a company wanting to sponsor and show off. I think that question would be better asked by or answered by someone that's not me.
No, I get that. I get that. All right, so I'm gonna do a couple more questions, then I'm gonna open the chat up, and you can peruse the chat and
okay.
I hate everybody and that type of thing. All right, so I'm trying to keep up with these guys. They're asking good questions.
Just where 3DP Iceland said LOL awesome. I just have that as kind of like a bookmark, and then once chat opens up, I'm just gonna start there and work down.
Okay,
that's my goal.
All right, so a bunch of people asked me where you're going to be at IRF, and I do believe you have something else going at that time.
Yeah, I can't be at IRF this year.
Yeah, and that's what I thought. Okay. Somebody asked, what's the smallest printer that you have found that's usable?
That's usable.
But that's probably a sub $500 machine that you don't have.
It could be. That's usable. I mean, that's someone with like an Ender or Monoprice Select Mini, someone like that, I would imagine. The toy box that I just showed you, if it worked, it would be usable, but the electronics aren't responding right now, so it's not really usable. Right. The Obsidian worked, but it was a pre-release machine that required some tweaking.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I get it. Okay, so you're up at the smiley faces. I'm going to let you go from there. Let you peruse it for 3 or 4 minutes, and then we'll wrap this thing up.
Oh, all right.
And because these guys are chomping at the bit to do something, and it's a little bigger than my normal crowd, and I don't know how y'all do it with 300 or 400 in the chat.
Let's see. Okay, so Mickey Man Mike, I wonder if Joel knows why recruiters can't read CVs. I really don't know, but just get a better CV or maybe attach candy to it. Maybe that'll help. Let's see. 3D printing professor, favorite budget for $500 CR10. That's very valid. I would agree with that. Let's see. Chris Lane, just want to thank Joel for retweeting our Venturi 3D printer project yesterday. Right on, dude. Again, I said it's not an endorsement, but I want to make sure people were aware of how cool it is and the possibilities behind it. And maybe someday in the future I can endorse it. I just don't know. Practical printing. Oh, the Jump Start. The Matter Hackers Jumpstart, that's an interesting machine. I still have one of those. Is that sub 500 though? I think we're still in that sub 500 part of the chat. I don't know. Brian Louie, question. Does Joel recommend Design Box 3D? So Preet over at Design Box 3D really doesn't like me. He says I'm a shill and I've bought out, and he's blocked me on Twitter. So they sell great products, but just tell Preet I said hi, because I can't do it since I blocked on the Twitter. Go figure. Robbie Mack, favorite practical print you've done for around the house and whatnot. I'm about to do some really cool stuff. I've got some drawer pulls planned for my big desk that I'm going to be printing in the Matter Hackers Nylon X, because they sent me that Pulse XE. I've got some brackets that I made for the whiteboard that are still awesome because they're still working. The print I did of the Fallout bomb that Angus did, that I turned into a planter. That plant is still growing as long as I remember to still water it. So that's practical, right? That's practical. Practical printing. Joel, what's the oldest printer you have in your arsenal? I still have my FlashForge Creator Pro. That was my first printer. So I still have that. Wait, I lost my space. YouTube needs to learn how to scroll better. That's what YouTube needs to do. Oh, that's where the smallest. Okay, going to be at Earth. Oh, German printing nerd. Hey, Don. How you doing, man? How I do it. What is the coolest gift I got at Murph? Prusa gave me one of the powder-coated PEI beds.
I got mine first.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. I'm going through the chat. I'm trying. 3DP Iceland. How involved are your kids into 3D printing? I see them sometimes in the videos, but do they 3D print stuff with you as their hobby? They don't. It's weird. So 3D printing to them is as normal as just every day. And it's weird because they'll go to school and one of their classmates that they sit right next to has never seen a printer, never heard of a printer, and thinks it's magic. And so I'm hoping that by having my kids exposed to all of this crazy technology at such an early age, as they grow older and advance in the school system, then kids that don't have access to that can talk to my kids. They'd be like, oh yeah, this is cool. Or, hey, I'll print you something at home. Or, hey, maybe we can loan your family something. And so I'm hoping that by my kids being exposed to all this really cool stuff, then that will benefit all of their friends and classmates going forward. But right now, it's just not, it's not exciting to them because they've seen it nearly all their life. And so big, we have 3D printers, big whoop. We have these machines that take up space.
Yeah, mine are the same with electronics because I've always been a techno nut. So I always get the latest and greatest TVs. You can talk to my lights and you can talk to everything in my house in this 1980 mobile home. And they go to other people's houses and they're like, oh, you can't just tell your lights to come on? You actually have to get up and go to the light switch? God.
Right.
I do want to say this, though. I need you to tell Chris Riley that you cannot do anything without a Twitter account.
Oh, really? Oh, does Chris not have a Twitter account?
Chris does not have a Twitter account. So we have a campaign going that is Chris Riley, get on Twitter. So
you should. Yeah, if you're still here, you should definitely get on Twitter.
Oh, he's here. He said, Joel, okay. His question was, Joel, can you make it on YouTube without Twitter? Answer, no. The answer is no.
It's really, it's difficult. If you have hundreds of thousands of followers, you can. But there's a really good maker community and 3D printing community that exists on Twitter. And I think you're missing part of the conversation if you don't at least use Twitter to read. You don't have to post, but I think having Twitter to read is valuable. I'll say that.
Well, and Mitchell Wong asked a question earlier, and I'm trying to find it again because we talked about this, and this is what Matt and how I do it. And the Friday night hangout for 3D printing hangout.
What can be done to get more women interested in 3D?
Yeah.
I don't know the answer to that question. I think that I don't think there are projects that I can feature to try and attract more of a female audience. I don't think that I don't think that what's the right way to say it? Right now, I think it's going to be very difficult to grab any sort of female-based market share unless you have, I think a female co-host will help, or a female hosted channel, or if you're Devin from Make Anything and you look sweet as you do. I don't know. That's really the ultimate question right now. I think going back to my kids, I have 2 daughters, and I think because my daughters, they watch my YouTube videos. Their friends watch my YouTube videos. So I think if we can get the younger generation interested, while that's not solving the problem right away, I think what we're doing is empowering more little girls to become really kick-ass female engineers in the future. And I think that right there will get more women interested in 3D printing. I think that, I mean, there's still time to grab people now to get people interested in it, but I really don't know how to do that. There are probably others that have a better idea on how to do that, but if we can encourage the current young generation, that's where we're going to get a lot of really big wins, is because they're just going to grow up and become little boys, little girls are going to just become really awesome engineers and people in tech fields who will naturally be drawn to lasers and 3D printing and CNC machines and all that good kind of stuff. I know that's not the answer you're looking for, but
no, that was a really good answer, because there are lots of women in 3D printing in the maker space, but somehow, and I don't know how, they're underrepresented in, just say, the content creation part of 3D printing, or the Twitter verse of 3D printing, or the groups of 3D printing. They're underrepresented. They're there. You know, and John just said Jen Schachter, I guess is her name, will join us as co-host in future F3D PCH live streams. You know, and you know who she is. We talked about her earlier. So,
right. But that's not going to solve the problem. I think that I think adding a female co-host to a channel just to try and attract the female viewership, I don't think is a valid. I don't think it's completely valid in what it's trying to do. I think it's a good idea, just regardless of trying to attract more female viewers. I think that having more persons of color and females and different age ranges, I think is what makes YouTube great. And I think that's what makes the 3D printing community great. And that's what makes a maker community great. And just being able to feature more people from more backgrounds, I think is valuable regardless of the audience that you're trying to attract. But I mean, if it works, if Jen comes on and she kicks butt and we encourage more little girls to be engineers, and we encourage more women to be able to do cool stuff in the community and to make epic stuff with 3D printers, then that's great. I wish I knew the answer, right? I wish I knew the answer.
And there are different viewpoints, you know, and I saw Brian Louis' comment the other day, and I'm on the other side of the fence, but he also said there are some things girls just don't like. So why push it on them? You know, because we were talking about the STEM projects and stuff like that. Why do we push it on them if they don't like it? You know, and it's not, I don't think it's that way. I don't think that we're pushing it on the ones that don't like it. What we're trying to do is be more inclusive of the ones that do like it, that want to be included. I don't think we're just dumping on the ones that don't want to be there. You know what I mean? I think
right. We're not specifically pushing to try and get people who don't want to do it to do it. I think what we're doing is we're just pushing so that the people that are on the edge or that want to do it, then do it.
Well, I think his point was more to in school right now. There's such a push to get everybody involved in the science, technology, engineering, and math departments, and they do push it a lot. You know, a lot.
Oh, I see what you're talking about STEM stuff.
Yeah. Not just.
Well, you got to remember, back in the day, girls didn't need to learn how to read, or girls didn't need to learn math, right? It's STEM isn't necessarily to get more girls to do science, technology, engineering, and manufacturing. STEM is to just get more people growing up to do it, girls or boys or whatever. And so I think having more kids do STEM stuff is similar to saying, you know what, we want people to read, or we want people to use math. Now we need people to use the technologies of tomorrow.
Yeah, and I see the devil showed up. I mean, Heather, sorry. She said, hey, I'm no devil. But yeah, I mean, and John made a valid point. It's not about pushing; it's about supporting and encouraging.
Wait. Mitchell Wong said he can't think of any women reviewing machines. I don't know if Mitchell knows Abuzz Designs, but they've reviewed some machines.
Well, and doesn't Kat do reviews as well? I think.
Yep, Kat, and over in where is she's in Europe? Is she
Liechtenstein?
Germany?
Yeah, I think so.
Germany?
I'm not sure. I just thought she
has done reviews as well.
She was speaking German the other day, so
was she?
Yeah, to me. And when I was on somebody else's channel, I can't remember. We were chatting. Oh, and then Chris Lane brought up Naomi Wu. She used to. I mean, she was big into reviews and out there. So
yep.
Yeah, and 3DP Iceland did say Liechtenstein. Heather says Germany. So yeah, okay.
Hey, I said Liechtenstein. Come on.
Say Liechtenstein. Come on.
Yeah.
I was just saying Heather agreed with you. I mean, the devil agreed with you. Yeah, and Abuzz Designs, like you said, so that's cool. And then
Don says Kat is in Holland.
Yeah, that's what Don says.
All Kat's in Europe. Kat is in Europe. There we go.
There you go. She's across the pond. So, all right. So here we go. All right. We're going to let you wrap up what you think. I want to know, where does it go from here, Joel?
Where does what go?
Well, that's I'm getting to that because right now we have some FDM printers and we have some SLA and DLP printers that print with incredible quality. You know, the Mark III that I've got back here, my two home built ones over here print with Mark II quality. They print with fantastic quality. That print, who was it? Somebody put it up from the Ultimaker. That wasn't you, I don't think. Somebody put it up today and it had the purple and they showed the bottom base and all that. It might have been, was that you?
I put up my Lego dude with the blue.
No. This was something else. It was a Batman or something like that.
Okay.
But they were great prints. So what features on an FDM printer, a desktop consumer model, because I consider the S5 to not be a consumer model.
No, it's not. It's definitely not. And they know that too. Yeah,
I know they know that. I mean, it's an institutional model, like schools and stuff like that. It's great for them. I can't afford one. There's no way I'd ever put one on my desk. But what do you think is the next evolution of FDM printing? What is coming?
Oh, for FDM printing?
Yeah. Or SLA or DLP or whatever.
I think that like the Mark III has some really good smarts in its brain. It's not perfect by any means, but it's a step closer to being where it needs to be. I think that FDM printing is going to benefit in the future by some newer, better materials, just because people that know material science are always creating new stuff that printers to print. So we'll get stuff that's more rigid, more flexible, easier to print, you know, adheres well, shrinks less, all that kind of stuff. I think that we're going to see more reliability in machines for less money. I think that's a big thing. And I think the ultimate goal is something very similar to what the Venturi printer's trying to do. It's going to be pre-sliced models enclosed and something that is very reliable, because once we can get a reliable machine that can easily produce things on a kitchen counter or on a makerspace counter or something, and then I think if a big box store is offering parts for sale, or you can print these parts at home on a home printer and pay less for them because you're using your own filament, I think that's that's where we're trying to get, right? I think that's an eventual goal. I mean, I don't know how long it's going to take, but I think coming up in FDM is going to be different materials and more reliability at a cheaper cost.
Robbie Noel said, I want beef jerky filament so I can eat my failed prints.
That's not a bad idea.
I hear you. Well, and I mean, that's the goal, isn't it? The goal is to be standing in your kitchen and say, okay, I need a new set of forks, and push a button, and 10 minutes later, you got a new set of forks. Yep. That's the goal. That's the goal of everybody is the replication thing. And Chris Lane's all smiling and cool because you mentioned his printer again, by the way. He talked to me about doing some software stuff on it the other day, and it is a really cool idea. He's right, and you're right, because when you can go to a marketplace and you're online on your computer and your printer's in the back room, and you can say, okay, I want this, and it sends it to your printer and prints it, and then you just go back and take it off the printer, then yeah, when it's that reliable and that push button, I think that's what a lot of people would love to see.
Oh yeah, you will see a hockey stick in the growth of adoption once we can get to that point.
Yeah, and I think you're exactly right. All right, so anything else you want the community to know before we turn them loose and tell them that's enough? We've had enough of this wonderful stuff.
No, I just want to say thanks for having me on, Walter. I really appreciate it, and I hope everybody has a rad week ahead of them.
Cool. Well, guys, this has been Kuntry 3D, and we've interviewed Joel Telly, and y'all have been great. Thanks for the questions. Thanks for the interest. We're going to get off of here now, and I guess we'll see you in the morning for coffee. So have a good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.